Good morning, folks. We continue in our Maimer and our Hasidic discourse. Siyam b'mishpat tipate b'shaveh b'tzedakah. Zion is redeemed through judgment, which is Torah, and it's and the captives are redeemed through tzedakah, charity. So what we're explaining now is the idea. There's two ideas here. Redemption through Torah study and redemption through being charitable. So the truth is, we have two components in us, individually, also collectively, as a people. We have those that are like Yisachar, the Torah learners primarily, and you have those that are primarily the ones who do acts of loving kindness. So those are their primary role is in Torah, their redemption. Their redemption will be through Torah, and those who are primarily involved in the world, their redemption will be through tzedakah, charity. In more general terms, it's the righteous and the penitent. So the righteous, who even accidentally, inadvertently, they don't sin, a truly righteous individual, right? Which means, what kind of redemption do they have? Do they need if they don't sin? Well, they don't sin, but of course they're part of the nation of Am Yisrael. And therefore, being a part of the people, they're affected by the people. We see that by Moses when he was on top of the mountain, when the Jewish people sinned with the golden calf. And God says to him, Hashem says, Lechred, go down. Go down, meaning go down in your stature because you've been affected by the sin of the golden calf, even though he had nothing to do with it. He was on top of the mountain with God, learning Torah. So the righteous still need redemption. They're not, though, caught up in negativity, in klipa. So their redemption will be through Torah, as Torah itself is not caught up in anything negative. It may teach us about the negative, but it's not enclosed in it. It's not caught up in it. It guides us. It refers to it, but it's not caught up in it. So the righteous who are not captive to any negativity, otherwise it wouldn't be righteous, right? Again, they're touched by it, they're affected by it, but they're not caught up in it. They're not embroiled in any way with negativity. So and being the fact that they are a tzion, a sign, a reflection of that which is higher and greater than them, the divine. That's what a righteous person is. And in that respect, they are completely emissaries, messengers of the divine, and in a literal manner, mamish. So even when there is some kind of downfall by the righteous, right? They're not caught in the downfall. They're not, um, you know, they're affected by it, but they're not embroiled in it. Therefore, the Torah, right, which is revelation of godliness, and that's what they are, right? So through their study of Torah, they're just going to reveal more godliness in this world. On the other hand, the Baal Tshuva, so that's the tzaddik, right? That's the righteous. The Baal Tshuva, the penitent, on the other hand, is her avodah, their divine service is uh, to bring out the sparks of holiness that have been captive. Right? That's why is a person a what does it mean a penitent? A penitent means second. Sorry. What is a penitent? It's someone who fixed something, doing tshuva, fixing, what you need to fix. Why do you have to fix something? Because the sparks of holiness, of godliness, went into a negative place, into klipa. Tshuva means to redeem those. That's the concept of tshuva. Is to redeem the sparks that have been sparks of godliness that are trapped. And return it from its captivity. Therefore, redemption, right, to redeem needs to be in a similar manner. That's what tshuva is. It's like, you did an action or you said something. That action was against the divine will. So that act is now, or those words are in klipa, sitracha, on the other side, a negative force. They're trapped. They're in captivity. Need to release it from its captivity. That's what tshuva is. Well, that's the idea of tzedakah then. So the general idea of how, right, to what reflects this idea of penitence is charity, which charity, what's charity? Charity means you worked really hard for your money, blood, sweat, and tears. That money that you have is not the work that you did is not necessarily, what we would call holy work, or the money's not holy work. But when you take some of that money or from that effort that you put into work, and now you give it away in the mitzvah, through the mitzvah, the command of being charitable, you bring an upgrade from that klipa that is, very inherently self-serving. That's what, work is self-serving. So you could serve yourself physically by having money for food, having money for things that you need, which is human, natural, right? Point being, though, that's not taking the divine in, and taking the sparks of the divine and elevating it. When you take that money that you've earned, or that blood, sweat, and tears that you put into making that money, and now you give away a part of it, 10%, 20% of it, to tzedakah, you bring an upgrade to all of the money that you earned and all of the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into earning that money. It becomes released of its captivity. Not even talking about the money is, people call it the root of all evil. I wouldn't call it the root of all evil, but it is in and of itself not holy. It's klipa. Now, you could use it for good, or you could use it right, or the opposite. But the point being is that it's not your hard work that you put into your, for your daily bread, or the money that you have for your daily bread, is not inherently connected to the divine. So by giving tzedakah, so what you're doing is taking that which is in the realm of klipa, it's hidden, the divine source of it. And by doing that, then you're bringing everything that you've done and elevating it into a divine state, into holiness. So that reflects exactly what the penitent, what the Baal Tshuva is, the one who's returning, right? They did something that is in klipa, and now Tshuva means you're returning. You're returning the hey in your name of the divine within you. You're returning the hey in God's name, and returning the divine presence of God to its rightful place. Again, reflecting the whole idea of what tshuva is in the act of being charitable. So, what is the main divine service today? Is after the divine service today is that the divine presence has fallen, right? The hey in God's name. We're learning Geras Tshuva. Oops, again, find it here. The hey in God's name has fallen because of the exile into klipa. I said, generally speaking, and more specifically, when we do something right, that is not aligned to the divine will, against the will of God. So then we bring it further into klipa, into a negative force. Tshuva means to return it back to its rightful place. That is the main divine service today, is uplifting from the bottom, leveraging from the bottom. You pick up the entire worlds, including the spiritual worlds. This world of action, where in action, not the world of spirituality, but in the physical world, where we have a physical destruction of the holy temple. Physically, or well, not physically, spiritually, the divine presence is in exile, as reflected by the destruction of the holy temple. So now, physically, that it has fallen to the feet, to the heels. We now have to lift up from the bottom through action, as not through spirit, which spirit would be through the study of Torah, right? Which is the way of the righteous, but through the physical act in this world of being charitable. That becomes now the main divine service. Not to exclude Torah study, of course, not to exclude any other mitzvah, but this becomes a main focal point of being charitable, because as we explained, that reflects the reality that we're in now. Again, that the divine presence is fallen because of the destruction of the physical place of the holy temple. So it's fallen to the lowest level, meaning of klipa, negativity and negative force. So we have to lift it up. So you don't lift it up, lift the person up from their hair, lift them up from the bottom. So where's that bottom? What's the bottom of the person in their in living life? So it's not your mind, it's not your heart, it's not your thoughts, not your speech, but it's your actions. Right? Actions is the most rudimentary, most simplistic thing that we can do, right? Like, pick up a pen. That's a lot easier to do than to say one sentence that is cohesive and makes sense. It's a lot more difficult to even have a thought that is, cohesive. Much easier just to, pick up the pen, move the pen, right? Not talking about the impact of doing an action, but the capability of doing an action. It's the lowest quality of the soul, not the lowest in value, the lowest, it's the most simple thing that a human being can do, right? A little baby can't talk. A little baby can, on their, they can take a ball and grab it. Simple action. Just to bring out that the lowest thing where the divine has fallen to is not to a spiritual state, or not into the mental, emotional state of the world, but in the lowest level of the physical state of this world. Action. And therefore, to lift it up from its captivity is from the lowest level. That will be action. Through an action. What's that action? What is the embodiment of action? Is charity. Because you have to work so hard to make your money, and money represents the capacity of sustaining your physical life, because you could buy food and drink and clothing and home. All right, folks, I hope that was clear. We're not finished. We'll see. We'll tie it in further. Just to let you know, we're on chapter 8. We're going to begin chapter 8. We're going to bring this, that what we just explained was in Nefesh. We're going to bring it out in world and in space and in time. Just brought out in personhood. This idea now we're going to bring it from